I tell them straight, if it ain't about Jesus, it ain't fulfilling. Nah, I needed something that'll take the pain and kill it.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this is episode number 4 of Stepping Into Faith, a sneaker podcast. I appreciate you guys for tapping in. If you are listening on the podcast platforms, thank you so much. And if you're watching via YouTube, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you are following on the podcast. The link is down in my description section. Now, today, it is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to each and every one of you guys. And I just wanted to come on here really quick and talk to you guys about being a father. And being a father is tough, but it's a blessing. And I just want to go through some of these things because the thing about it is that depending on which way you view being a father could be different based on your own personal standards and your own personal history. And what I mean by that is that if you grew up without a father, then you're going to have a different outlook than if I grew up with the father. Or if your father passed away, or if you have some bad vibes with your father right now, just a bad relationship, then your feelings, your thoughts, and your emotions, everything, the way that you view being a father is going to be different than the next person. But this video today, I really want to focus on the aspect of tomorrow is a new day. And yes, being a father is hard, but being a father means that we have an opportunity to lead people. It's a big responsibility. It is not an easy task. Growing up with my dad and stuff like that, one of the biggest things that I noticed, and this seems to be the norm for everybody, is that the father is supposed to be the breadwinner. And I know things have changed nowadays because we don't do things traditionally anymore, and things, are totally different. But for the most part, still, when you speak to a man, they still feel like they need to be the breadwinner. And that's how they flex their muscle. That's how they get their status and their stature. It's about how much money that they make. But along with that, it's about leading and being strong and independent and stuff like that. Like, those are the vibes that you get when you think about a father. But I want to talk to you guys today about being a man of God and what that means when you are trying to be a father. And I couldn't imagine leading my household. I couldn't imagine being a father if I wasn't a Christian, if I wasn't a believer. Because when situations happen, if it wasn't for the direction that the Bible and God has given me, if it wasn't for the standards in my life that I hold high and the respect for my King, my Father in heaven that I have, I feel like that I would have made some poor choices when it came to leading my family and also parenting my kids. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing. It's hard enough to focus on yourself, but now you're telling me that I have to lead myself, I have to make the right decisions, but now I also have to do this for X amount of kids as well. So I have to be an example for myself, I have to be an example at work, and then I have to come home, I have to be an example for my household. I have to lead and make choices for my household. I have to guide them in the right direction. And you know what? When things don't go well, guess who get looked at? You're right, absolutely, the fathers. But I wear that as a badge of honor. And the reason why I say that is because being in a position where, based on my choices and my decisions and the time that I choose to spend with my kids and the time I choose to pour into their hearts, to pour into their relationship with Christ, to pour into their schoolwork, to uplift them, to encourage them, to motivate them, the time that I choose to do that will reflect in their future and determine the type of individual they grow up to be. And to watch that mold into something amazing and something that God created is a feeling like no other. Like that doesn't matter about the money. That doesn't matter about the status. Like, none of that matters when I can sit back and I can say, you know what, man, my son and daughter are making great decisions because they respect me as a man of God, and they respect God because of my example that I'm leading in my household. And I think that's where it starts, and I think that's where a lot of us fall short at. Now, are we going to always be perfect? Absolutely not. Will we make mistakes? Absolutely. Will there be arguments? Absolutely. Will there be shortcomings, and will there be lapses in judgments? Yes. But just like Christ is forgiveness. And as a man of God, if I'm teaching that in my household, that Christ will forgive you, Christ will forgive me. Whenever it's that time when we have those situations within my house, and I have those situations with my kids, they understand that, you know what, Daddy's not perfect, so he needs grace, and I'm willing to accept that grace, and of course I am, because it's grace. But also, whenever it's time for me to be stern with my kids, and that's the thing. A lot of us right now, we're being best friends. We want them to love us. We want them to like us. We want them to be buddy with us. And, social media has a little aspect of that. We want to do the TikToks. We want to do this and that with them. And I get all that. And it's fun and it's entertaining. But we have to be able to separate and what it means to truly be a father. And sometimes being a father means being the bad guy. It means saying no when you don't want to say no. It's been a lot of times that I've said no to my kids, and then I walk into the room with my wife and I shut the door and I'm like, man, I really didn't want to say that. I really want to say yeah. I really want to give them everything. But I knew that if I didn't say no, that the lesson wouldn't have been learned. So as I think back as me being a kid and all the times that my parents said no, now as a parent, I understand. As a father, I get it. I get why it was no, because it wasn't the best thing for me. And I need to learn how to earn that, or I needed to learn the lesson behind that. It needed to help mold me into the man that you see right before you. So right now we're in a society where, yes, it's hard being a father because nobody wants to step up to the plate to be a father. Nobody wants to say no. Nobody wants to have those hard conversations with their kids, whether it's about bullying, sex, drugs, racism, whatever, or even the most important one, religion. Nobody wants to have those conversations anymore, and that's the tough part. But I think that's what shows a reflection of who you are in your relationship that you have with Christ. So if you are a sinner and you are rooted in Christ, and you are in your word, and you understand that this is a marathon. This is not a race. This is a marathon. What I mean by that is, if I understand that my heavenly Father is my Father, my ultimate Father, and his word is my direction, that's him telling me how to live my life. Once I understand that, I understand that every single day, no matter how old I am, I'm in the process of learning. And this should be the way and the example I have for my kids, which means that I'm their father. I'm to set the direction and the standards. Those standards are supposed to be godly standards. And I'm supposed to hold them to that and hold myself to those standards, the same standards. And then the hopes and the prayers is that as they grow older, they too will also instill those godly standards in their kids, and then the cycle just begins, and it just keeps going, and before you know it, we got a whole bunch of godly people running around here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna encourage you guys, any of you guys, the fathers that's listening tonight, I'm gonna encourage something. I really want you guys to hear what I'm about to say. Whatever you have not or have done that has hindered you being that father that you are meant to be, let's put that aside. Let's start now. Start now by evaluating you as a father. First off, evaluate your relationship you have with Christ. Determine where that is, because that needs to be the staple of who you are as a father. That needs to be the staple of how you parent. That needs to be the staple of how your temper is going to be and how much patience and wisdom you have when it comes to giving advice to your kids and being able to accept the things that they're telling you that they done wrong, and being able to move past those things and still be able to parent them and be a friend and have an open door to where they always feel like that they can come and communicate to you, and they're not communicating to anybody else. I think it's my wife, or many people have told me before that I would rather have the conversation with my kids than their friends having them, because you're gonna get 40-year-old advice, or you're gonna get 7-year-old advice. And 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-old advice is terrible advice, because they haven't lived enough. They don't know. They don't know any more than the person that's asking the question. So I want to encourage you guys to evaluate yourself. Look at the areas that you need to grow and develop, and start lifting those up in prayer. Have people hold you accountable. Hey, I need help with my temper. I feel like I'm short tempered with my kids, and I don't want to scare them off, and I want them to be able to communicate with me. Okay, how can someone help you with that? Start praying about that. And as you sit down with your family and express that to them, talk to your kids. They're smarter than what you think. Talk to them and say, hey, look, I know I have a temper issue and I need you to help me get through this. So as a family, we can grow and we can grow closer together. We can grow closer in Christ. And that is the problem. We don't, as men, we feel like we cannot do that. We cannot be vulnerable. We cannot show any signs of weakness. And we definitely cannot let our kids see that we don't know what we're doing. When 99.9% of the time, we don't know what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? But God knows what he's doing. And that's why we need him as a guide. I was told one time that parenthood is like being in a car. And let's say you in a car, you don't have a map, you don't have GPS, but you know the destination that you want to get to. You know where you want to get to. And you have two or three options to go, and you don't know which path to take. And you just start taking the paths, and before you know it, you end up going in a circle. And that's parenthood. That's what it's like. It's because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. You don't know what the left turn is going to take. You don't know what the right turn is going to take. But God is our GPS. He is that guide. He is the one that's going to give us direction. It's nothing that can happen that his word, that his Bible, that the Bible cannot give us an answer to. And we just got to go to him in prayer and seek that wisdom and seek that counsel when it comes to being the father that we need to be. So as I wrap this up, again, I'm going to encourage you guys to, we can be friends with our kids, but let's step up to the plate. No more excuses. Let's hold ourselves accountable and let's lead our family. Let's be fathers. We need it bad because these kids are really in dire need of manly leadership. You know, we need kids that understand what it means to respect their fathers, what it means to see somebody in a fatherly example that is actually leading, taking accountability, being able to show love, hugging their kids, kissing their kids, and doing things that show their kids that they're loved and they're special. Not just trying to be tough all the time. It ain't about that. And I feel like society has put that in everybody's head that you a manly man only if you tough. No, man, you're a manly man if you can sit in the movie theater with your daughter and both of y'all are in tears because y'all are excited about being together and watching a movie and y'all get emotional. That is a manly man. You know why? Because that man is being there with his daughter in a vulnerable moment and they are living that moment together. That's fatherhood. That is what that means. So I hope you guys have an opportunity to see what that feels like. If you've been MIA in your kid's life, why is that? I'm going to encourage you to find a way to get back in your kid's life. Find your way to get back in there because you're their father for a reason. God makes no mistakes. None. So if you have a kid and you are not in their life, he wants you to be in their life. I'm going to encourage you to be there because that's where he wants you to be. Now, I hope this video was an encouragement to each and every one of you guys. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Make sure you are not just on Father's Day, but every day. You're calling your dad. You're telling him you love him. You're having a conversation with him. Settle any differences, man. It's a lot of stuff going on in this world. And this is even for myself, you know. Never let any differences come between you and a loved one. And I know sometimes we have to step away, but really evaluate that step away process and make sure that it's a godly step away, that it's something that he wants you to do and not something that you want to do. Because a lot of times we make decisions based off of emotions, not off of godly counsel. So I'm going to encourage you guys to lift all your decisions when it comes to relationships and friendships and decisions that you need to make that can impact somebody else's life. Lift those up in prayer. Lift those up in prayer before you make that decision because I want you to make sure that it's the right and godly decision. Hey, I love each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys so much. Y'all know the sayings, man. Rock what you like, not what's hype. And remember, everything we talk about is just bait. Word for me to share my faith. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to catch y'all in the next video. Peace.
Yo, truth is a deadly venom to a man perishing, but to a man willing to live, it's like medicine. If you want to live, then you gotta die. Are you looking for the truth or an alibi? Truth. true, true.